Yep. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call to order ARPB meeting of Thursday, July the 27th, 2023. And with that, Renee, please can you take the roll call?
Mr. Green.
Present.
Mr. Canfield.
Here.
Chairman Murphy.
Here. Have you had a chance to read the minutes? Are there any omissions, changes? Otherwise, can I have a motion, please, to approve the minutes for the meeting of June 22nd?
Motion to approve? Second.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Canfield.
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes. Do we have any withdrawals, deferrals, etc.? Okay, thank you.
Or the microphone's not working.
Yeah. So forthcoming meetings, obviously no meetings next month for this board. Our next meeting is September 28th. Availability, do we know yet?
50-50.
Okay. Right.
I'm sorry, what was it?
To the meeting of the 28th of February. Do you know if you're called upon, if you've been?
Yes, I can. Yes.
Okay, thanks. And with that, we go to the public hearing part of the this morning's meeting. And has there been any ex parte communication? Read the applications that are in front of us today.
No. No.
And not on my part either. Thank you. Renee, please could you administer the oaths to anybody who wishes to speak this morning?
And raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth to help you God. Make sure I get your name before.
And for the record, Greg and Trey are here. Yep. So we move on to the first application of this morning. It's a sense of deja vu here. But if we could move forward with the presentation, I invite you to present.
Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Dustin Mizell with Environment Design Group, Landscape Architecture in Palm Beach, here for 590 Right Way. We were here before you last month, and there was a few questions relative to clarification, mostly in the plans. So what we prepared for you, and I hope it cleared up any miscommunication on our part, but we clearly identified a mitigation plan that reflected the 4 royal palms along the front facade, the east property line being removed. And then we mitigated it with the additional palms, which we're replacing 5 palms, 2 specimen date palms, and then 3 thatch palms, which are native. And we went ahead and also highlighted the planting plan in red to show where we were putting those, just for clarification purposes. So again, I think we laid out the situation last month. I appreciate your patience, and you just asked for clarification and for record drawings that reflected everything that we did. So I hope it cleared it up. Thank you.
Do you want us to walk us through it?
Yes.
Please.
Okay. So
thank you very much.
Okay. So let's go to the next page, if you don't mind, Renee. Okay. That's just an inventory there. And the next page, there is our mitigation plan. If you can go back, I'm sorry, one page. And it shows there in that mitigation table the 4 royal palms that were removed along Right Way. And then we went ahead and quantified our replacements with the 5 palms. So we continue on in the plan. And there's just our site plan for reference there. Okay, one more. Okay, and then we see here in the red, the cloud in the center of the page is the one date palm, and then the one below it as well. So that replaces 2 of the royals. And then in the southeast corner, we have a clump of thatch palms, which are native palms. So we took 4 away, and we're replacing it with 5 there. So it's all documented in the red that corresponds with the mitigation tabular chart.
Can you just confirm the height they'll go in at, please?
Yes. Let me look on here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I've got the same issue.
Okay.
Is it 12 to 14? 12 to 14?
The thatch are 6 to 8.
And the date palms?
Yeah, the thatch is 6 to 8 feet, and then date palms are 12 to 14 foot.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
The thatch are hard to find, very tall, but they do grow and they're really nice. Yeah. So that's really it.
Yep.
Those are all our changes. Thank you.
There's a couple of things that in our notes, that in our pack, that the town staff wanted us to just confirm with you that you're meeting the values of the landscape lighting plan as measured in lumens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. The other one was that a sample of the concrete paver that's going. Were you aware of this? That we needed a sample?
No, sir.
I can't remember if we covered that last month.
Yeah. Okay. It's in our notes here.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
As long as you've got it and seen it, because I know.
I believe we did approve the hardscape plan, and we did have I don't know if it was a sample, but yes.
I'm pretty sure you would have said that.
You know, my recollection, we did have it last month.
Yeah. Whether it.
Thank you.
This meeting. Okay, that's great.
You also explained the lumens last.
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. And the final part, you've obviously presented your proposal to mitigate the situation we had before.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions from the board?
I'm good.
I have a question. On the first page, you have there on the left, at the rear of the house, you've got the Royals. You have at the top there the trees in the back. You have the Royal Palm to be relocated. Does that mean there's one that's been relocated to that location, or is that one there?
Yeah.
You want to come to the mic? Yeah. Sorry. I'm gonna let the owner speak to that. I'm not sure about what happened there.
There's,
Sorry, could you just give your name?
sorry, Steve Strite, I'm the owner.
Sorry.
And apologies for all this confusion with the removal of those palms. It was a miscommunication and I really apologize. Anyway, there's this clump of royal palms that's really nice over here, but it doesn't really give us any shade here. So we were going to move one from, I think, right here to over there, just to go from a sort of spot where it wasn't helping us out with anything to a spot where it would add some more symmetry and also give us some shade. And that's that.
Does that address your point?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay.
Okay.
In that case, if there's no more questions, can I ask for a motion, please?
I'd like to make a motion to approve a major modification to the March 24th, 2022 landscape plan to include the removal of several palms, addition of date palms at the front entry, and a revised pool layout.
Second.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Canfield,
Yes.
Chairman Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you for your patience. Thank you. Thank you.
for coming back and addressing all
Yes,
those
sir.
points.
Thank you.
So we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah, I was going to say. Did you ever see Groundhog Day?
You're making a joke, but I believe we have a potential artificial turf application coming from this house as soon as it changes. So we will see the Strites again, just not for 2 months.
But we
because
won't see you in
we're on-
August. I can tell you that. I can guarantee you that.
We look forward to it.
Yeah, we'll see. Thank you. Okay. And yeah, and with that, okay. It doesn't detonate in 5 seconds, does it?
No, I promise.
That's okay. Good. And with that, we move on to the second application of this morning. I can't see Carlos.
I don't see Carlos either. And he knew because he dropped things off.
And
Would you like me to go call him?
please, because we've had a similar situation before, and time waits for nobody.
So we did pass on first reading an artificial turf ordinance that will vest the authority with this lovely board to review those applications. It will be unable to be viewed from, this is according to first reading, so if it passes, that'll be what we end up with. You can't see it from the street or from the waterway, so nothing in the front other than I believe like your like in between pavers. So there's like an exception for that, limited strips, limited areas, and there are a number of things that before it gets to you, staff will review as far as materials, what it's made out of. I guess we had a very thorough presentation from a chemist who discussed the various virtues of certain synthetic materials and the pitfalls and drawbacks from having some that may cause, health issues and things like that potentially. So again, that's more of a staff level thing, but we will have that for you to review. I believe we want it to look as realistic as possible. So we will have samples that I'm sure we'll be passing around in the coming months and years. As
I take it has to be green.
I think it needs to look like grass, but we didn't specify dead or live grass. But I guess that's up to interpretation. Next time I draft an ordinance, I'll consult with you first, Mr. Murphy. You're gonna poke all the holes in.
Right. Was there anything on the, I understand about sort of the.
You don't want to capture all this too?
No, this is riveting stuff. In terms of understand, can't be seen from the street, the waterway. Was there anything in terms of ratio? We have a hardscape ratio.
We don't have so it is included in that as impervious. So it would be included as hardscape. So that's a calculation again that staff would do.
Okay, so it's included in the hardscape calculation.
It doesn't contribute to landscaped area. So as far as those constraints, it does not come with a percentage this time. It's limited. I think it's something like limited areas in the rear and side yard. So it's sort of flexible from that standpoint. There's I think a 3-foot setback to the side property line. So you can, allow for hedging and things like that. Trying to think what else was in it that would be relevant to the board.
And what is the process? So you've had the first reading.
So we'll go to second reading and then it'll be on the books and then people will start applying. And Mr. Strite has been in communication a lot over that. It will be nice and that we can do that for our residents because I guess there has been a lot of interest.
Yeah.
A lot of people have inquired about it.
Yeah.
Some have attempted to put it in, and some did get away.
That's what drones are for.
Oh my
See, they're
God.
not being able to view it from the water being an issue.
So I did bring that up. I said, I don't know if there is any appetite from the commission to restrict that. And they said, oh, absolutely no, we don't want to be able to see it from the water either.
Yeah.
To that extent, it does impact if you're on a cove, the people looking, in their backyard and seeing, I guess, so.
Okay. Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning.
Take your
Good morning,
time.
everybody. I apologize
No.
for so much traffic. Did not anticipate this.
If you just want to restate.
yeah.
Okay, Malcolm, thank you.
I need to swear in.
Yes,
Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
So for the record, we are about to hear the second presentation this morning. Carlos, it's your podium and please make your presentation.
Thank you.
Not that one.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Good morning, everyone. My name is Carlos Linares. I'm with Randall Soft Architects. We're here to present a second story addition to the existing detached guest house for this residential home. This is an image of the existing detached single-story structure. If you could go to the next slide. This is an aerial. The aerial, we've highlighted the exact location of the existing detached structure in relationship to the main residence, which is just to the south of that. Next, please. Site plan also depicts the exact same condition as the aerial. We're also highlighting the existing single-story structure that's at the for the residence. Next, please. These are the floor plans. The top floor plan is the existing first floor. The existing first floor is to remain, is currently being used as a gymnasium. It's got a bathroom, a small morning bar, and a little study there. So we're adding the new stairway leading to the second floor. The second floor, what we're proposing is going to be a private theater with its designated bar and a powder room to be used for, obviously, for the residents. Next slide, please. This is what we're proposing for the elevations to look like. All the windows, all the doors on the first floor are to remain. What we're doing on the second floor is just adding windows openings to complement the existing windows. The architecture is to remain the same exact architecture, not changing anything at all on that. Please. These are photographs. To the right is the existing single-story detached structure. To the left is the remaining, the main residence. It's got some components that are 2 stories, but for the majority, it is a single-story home. We're also providing some photographs of the existing vegetation to the north, which is where the guest house storage is. The guest house is just a little to the right of that. That's the main home. The top left is just a little photograph, just a little west of that, but still facing north. The photograph just to the right is still facing north, looking at the one of the bay windows of the existing structure. These are other photographs. This is from the east side facing north of the existing guest house as well. This again, this is what the existing guest house looks like, and we're just adding on a second story to this. That pretty much completes my presentation. Any questions? Oh, I'm sorry. Can I add on to this? In doing so, we're also asking for 2 special exceptions. So one of them, the existing guest house does not meet the required setbacks to the north of the property. So that falls under a special exception in the code that allows us to request for in addition to a non-conforming structure. So that's is what we're asking for. That is one of the special exceptions. The other special exception that we're also asking for is the increase of the FAR. We do have a little bit of square footage that we may be able to add, but obviously in keeping the same footprint of the structure, we're increasing it by over 142 square feet beyond what we're allowed by the FAR. According to my calculations and presented to staff, we could ask for up to 284 square feet per our calculations, but we're only asking for 142 just to maintain the exact same footprint of the existing structure. That's how we're coming about to those numbers. Thank you.
Questions?
Yeah, I have some serious concerns about adding mass and height in already in a non-conforming space, so close to a neighbor. And I'm wondering what other ideas were thought about to get a movie theater, but not essentially increase the mass, so inside the setbacks.
I guess the only other way to do it would be obviously within the footprint, and it would add footprint to the structure itself. It would have to be another detached structure. He does not want to interfere. He does not want to do anything at the main house itself. So the idea was to either have a total different structure that could be independent. It would just increase the lot coverage. So this was the other idea, and this is what the client preferred to do. It is very close to the existing home, and he thought that he may be able to achieve, more out of this. This is the reason that we're proposing this. So we did look at a couple of different scenarios. This was the better scenario for our client.
So I do share some of Mr. Green's concerns about making a non-conforming structure more non-conforming, but what does it look like from the neighbor to the north if they're looking south? I know we received a letter, so I'd like to at least address some of that. Does this obstruct a view if this were to go through?
As you can see, the vegetation is pretty tall on the north side, so we're not increasing it. If we could go to the slide, Renee, please, to the elevations. I'm sorry. Go back a
'Cause I
few.
have comment on that too. So that north elevation before you go is a little bit bare. So if this were to go forward, we'd like to kind of discuss that a little bit. But I wanted to make note of that that's kind of just, if I'm the neighbor to the north, I'm just staring at a big white wall, it looks like.
So one obviously is privacy. Our client is concerned of privacy to the north and privacy to him. So he does not, so the adjoining property is the pool that is just directly to the north of that. So he does not want to give them the sense of that he's going to be able to look into their yard. If for whatever reason we are higher than the existing landscape that is there, that existing landscape, it is pretty tall. I did not measure, but it does look, very close to the height of what we're proposing for the structure to be. So Um, we did add some architectural elements because the town does have it in the code that you cannot have too much of that. I can't remember exactly what that dimension is. So we added some architectural features, but we did not want to add any windows facing that for the privacy. Specifically, we were trying to, maintain the architecture on all the other sides except for the north side.
There's a couple of slides I'd like to go back to, please. I think it's the second slide, the aerial view, not that one. You can see the proximity of the pool there.
Correct.
Right. The other thing is you showed the landscaping. If we can go forward to keep going, that one. So although we've got high landscaping there's an angle on the bottom left picture where it actually is sparser. You've got a dense hedge, and then you've got looks like a couple of trees, which again can be seen from I think it's the final picture you showed, but the buffer basically there, yeah, it's not, to me, that doesn't look as if it's going to cover.
So one thing that I did notice on that existing landscape is that the heavy lush landscape is on our property side. The not so dense is on their property side. What we can do is we could just continue that. I don't know how that came about to happen to where that hedge on our side got stopped.
Yeah,
it just stops short of the guest house. What we can do is just add another layer of landscape on our side, which we have the room to do so in order to be able to have the additional privacy if obviously the owner to the north is concerned about that. Absolutely.
Well, it's our concern actually, because the other thing is part of the conditions of the exception you're looking for is that it doesn't impinge on the privacy of the occupants.
Correct. Correct.
So just the fact that you have space on your property that you represent, it's up to, obviously, for this application, if this moves forward, to make sure that it's done on your side. It's
correct.
To do with the people to the north, the neighbors to the north.
If we could go to a couple of slides back, Renee, if you don't mind. So, I'm sorry, just one, yeah. So, as you can see, there is pretty much nothing at that point, right?
Yeah.
To where, for whatever reason.
Yeah, that hedge stops at the first floor level.
It stopped on the other side, on the west side of the guest house itself. So, in order for us to be able to have that, we have the space for it, and we could provide the additional layer that we will be seeking to get additional privacy.
Okay. I'm going to follow up on Rob's point about the north elevation.
Yeah.
The massing of it, it's basically, I'm not an architect, as you know.
Yeah.
But it's a flat wall.
It is. Architecturally, we added some shutters there that will complement some shutters throughout the house. That's what we started to do. I mean, we could add some more if that is definitely a concern. We were trying to do the bare minimum, obviously, because we're trying to hide and provide that privacy at this structure. So I did not want to keep on adding. We could definitely add another layer of shutters. I mean, it does not hurt to do so. But that's the only thing that I think that occurs to me that we could add to this rather than trying to have more windows in there. I mean, we could probably add windows onto the first floor, but I wouldn't do it to the second floor just because of, I know we're trying to add layers of landscape. We're trying to have that privacy between the two neighboring lots. So I would try to steer away from putting any other windows, but we could definitely add more embellishment to the architecture.
Yeah, obviously with this relatively small footprint, you haven't got the option that many proposals come with a setback to try and give it some definition in breaking that plain wall. I understand that, but to me that is not what we
Yeah.
want.
Especially if you're in the pool next door.
Yeah, and although everything you're saying about landscaping and people don't want to see it, we do this idea that, well, you can't see it, therefore it's okay. We've had that many times in front of the board, and that isn't the way we operate.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, one idea would be just to add another window to the first floor.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's not going to give us any privacy issue, because obviously the landscape is down low. And then just add another shutter up above to imitate that window, to break up that wall.
Yeah.
We could definitely add that. That's not a problem at all.
Yeah. And when you see the south elevation, it's interesting.
Yes.
But the bottom elevation, sorry, the north elevation, it just doesn't
Agree.
meet what we
Agree.
want.
We could definitely propose to do that.
These all feel like Band-Aids to a major structural problem, which is too much mass in non-conforming space. Adding landscaping just increases mass to me at this point in that space from a perspective of the other side. So I think the big problem here is where the building sits today. I don't know whether there's a solution that's going to convince me otherwise.
Okay. I think the fact that, what was it, 1926?
Correct.
This was built.
Correct.
So, it's been inherited. The footprint's there.
Yeah.
We've had many applications that face similar problems where they were way before the code came along.
Right.
And what we have to do is try and accommodate the requests for the owners wish to, develop and improve his property. However, I don't feel that's the solution at the moment, for the reasons of definitely the massing, definitely the massing, the landscaping. I am of the opinion that if you do your best efforts to landscape it as it goes in, which is why I asked the previous question, we've had, as you know, Carlos, we get many people saying we're going to put this in, and we say, what's it going to look like when it goes in?
Right.
Because it's no point saying, well, for the next 5 years from now, you'll have all the privacy in the world. That isn't the way we operate, the way we function. So the fact that you're saying, we could do this, we could do that, I can't see this as it, and this is just my opinion, I can't see this as it's presented to us today being something we could move forward with. That's my opinion.
Okay.
But
okay.
I also have the other questions, as we normally do. The neighbours to the north, have we had any feedback from them in terms of because we've had situations where neighbours say, yes, we'll work with this, we'll work with you. Have we had any feedback?
Someone called, they did not say their name, and then we did receive the letter
Right.
that I forwarded to you yesterday afternoon. I
And
didn't know if you wanted it read into the record or if it was fine for you just to have it.
has everybody read it?
I've read it.
I've read it.
Okay, if you can make a note that this record, this letter is from Candace Friss, but Candace isn't the neighbour to the north,
No.
just to confirm that.
Confirmed.
Okay.
I represent the neighbor.
Ah, great. Thank goodness. Yeah, that's fine. That's great. It's just that we do take into account the neighbours do it. So Carlos, that's the feedback directly on the plans as you presented.
Okay.
Okay, in the application. Can we move on to the?
One more comment before you, just in regards to the special exception of the floor area ratio, and this may be for staff as well. Section D under 7072. Typically, we address that on new construction for 1 square foot of roof projection over the maximum 2 square feet must be. Do we meet that in this situation?
Yeah, so Carlos kind of backed into that using the existing covered unenclosed area that is on the lot. So he used that as part of that. And given the historic nature of the building and trying to be flexible, we were okay with that as long as they were okay with the deed restriction
That's
and
the
everything.
take I had when I was reviewing this, but I just wanted to
Great.
confirm that.
All right. Thank you.
This one, no? Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you.
Please.
And then I don't know if this gentleman was sworn, but this is a quasi judicial hearing. So if you could please raise your right hand and be sworn by the town clerk.
Yeah, but I'm not testifying. I'm just.
Yes, sir, but you're speaking on a quasi judicial matter. So we're going
Okay,
to
I'll be
require that you
glad
be
to.
tested.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I affirm.
And then I will also need your name.
My name is James K. Green. I'm a lawyer in West Palm Beach, and I've got my court reporter here. I've got Wes Blackman, a certified urban planner here. There was no neighbor reach out on this project. My client, there was neighbor reach out by the applicant for, I think, the 2 or 3 meetings ago, the proposal to raise the elevation of the exterior wall facing the, I think, A1A.
Can I just hold you there? Don't we make it within 500 feet, we send out a notification? Regularly.
So there would have been notice provided by the town just
Right.
of the application. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And my client did get notice
Okay.
last week. My client was coming from, I believe, Europe. And then when he got here, he contacted me on Friday. So I've been
Okay.
trying to sort through the code and
Right.
the application. And
Okay.
we did speak with Ms. Freese, who sent the letter. There was also a cover email that basically was a transmittal email. Will that be made part of the record or not? Do you want me?
I can, yes.
Okay, thank you. We do have a number of concerns. I think you've identified most of them. One of our concerns is the second floor is very high. There will be a window, even if it doesn't actually, and it does look down on my client's swimming pool and backyard, which is the most private exterior area from my client's perspective. You can currently see it on the 1-story non-conforming structure. You can see the roof line and a little bit of the wall. The second story will be very high. My experience is it's very hard to maintain a dense and visually impenetrable vegetative barrier once you get up to the height of the second floor. And I can offer some brief testimony in the form of opinions from Mr. Blackman.
Please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Wes Blackman. I'm a certified urban planner with CWB Associates based in Lake Worth Beach. And I'm here on behalf of the owner of 2929 North Ocean Boulevard, the property immediately to the north of the subject property. And I think you're aware, sitting as the Architectural Review and Planning Board, that the arch of history in the planning profession and zoning profession is to eventually reach a point of nirvana where everything is conforming. So these special exceptions would essentially make that process longer, more difficult. According to section 7075 special exception setbacks, the minimum setback, all setbacks in parens, is the extent of the existing minimum setback. By adding a second story to this existing non-conforming structure, the side and rear nonconformities are essentially doubled. The existing building is non-conforming to the north by being about 4.5 feet closer to the property line and is nearly on top of the 1978 coastal construction control line, which is the measuring point of the required 25-foot rear setback, according to the staff report. Raising the building will put it in direct view of the adjoining property's most private and intimate space, the area around the pool. It would also block a currently unobstructed view of the Atlantic Ocean from the second story of the principal residence at 2929. The proposed use of the space as a home theater is not location dependent. It can be located elsewhere on this 1.26 acre property within the existing setback requirements. Therefore, the application for a special exception under 7075 does not meet a specific standard for review 2A as it would have a significant adverse impact on the site plan due to its visual impact on the adjacent property when it could be located elsewhere on the subject property, have little or no impact to the neighboring property to the north. And the application also does not meet specific standard for review 2D. Number 1 is the addition relative to its height and neighboring structures at 2929 North Ocean Boulevard. And also number 4, the addition decreases the level of privacy to occupants of neighboring properties than if the addition were located within the required setback. And the addition of shutters on the second floor, in terms of the blank wall issue, that actually creates the perception that there are windows there, which might be intimidating to people who are around this very private area, which is the pool. So I'd just like to point that out. And I'm not sure if you can see this from here, but this photo was taken Sunday at the property.
Yeah. Could you just, yeah, very good. Thanks.
You can see where the second story of this
Yeah.
building would be.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
Can you email me a copy of that?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we make that part of the record?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have nothing further.
Thanks for the presentation. Thanks for the information. Is there any comment from staff? Yeah. Yeah. So Carlos, would you like to respond to any of that, or do you want to hold fire? You have to have the opportunity.
So, yeah, we definitely agree with all the statements that have been made. Privacy, it is definitely a big issue, and our client has made that point, very clear to us. I do understand about the height. It was the best scenario that the client had decided for us to pursue, and this is the reason that we're here to try to get that approved with you guys. There are other options, absolutely. We could definitely explore that. We thought that it was, the way that we had added the second floor, that we still were providing the privacy that our client also seeks and does not want to make any discomfort to the property to the north. We could definitely look at other options. Like I said, landscape would have been one of the things that we would propose, and any other embellishments to the north. Architecture could also be something that we could also look into. I would have to speak to our client as far as whether he still wants to try to pursue this particular structure, and how we could come to an agreement with the property to the north in order to make this work, unless he wants to move forward in a different direction.
So what I was going to suggest is, I think you have two options. One is to withdraw the application across the board, or we move forward, and I think we know what the motion would be. So I think the fact that you've identified, speaking to your client, you've had some feedback both from ourselves, the staff, and the team here on the major concerns. These aren't just frivolous concerns, these are major concerns.
Agree.
And I think the way to move forward is to talk to your client, and the other part is to have a discussion with the neighbors to the north prior to any plans, because one, time is money, plans, etc.
Of course.
But the fact that he's concerned enough, or they're concerned enough to have this rep team here, shows that this is something that has to be addressed. It can't move forward as it is at the moment.
Agree.
And I'm not preempting any motions. So
Agreed.
Trey,
I make a
that's correct. You have two options: withdraw the application or.
Sure. So, I mean, it sounds like he,
I just want to make one
Sorry.
comment. I just think, in terms of my perspective, there's really nothing cosmetically that's going to solve a very physical problem. So that is a fundamental issue. Like, I don't want you to go spend a lot of time, come up with a massive landscape idea and think it doesn't solve the main issue here, because I don't see that, just in terms of this guidance from my perspective.
Yeah. And I think the photograph you showed, the perspective from the pool, if you blot out part of the sky, it might cover what's proposed. but
Correct.
Blotting out part of the land, the sky, and that's not, that definitely doesn't meet the idea of not impinging on neighbours
Okay.
existing. So
I'm in
it's-
agreement with that.
it's two choices: to withdraw the application, to go back to speak to your client, or we make a motion here. And I think I know which way it's going.
Then I would withdraw the application and resubmit. What would be, as far as I don't understand the difference as far on our part, and I would like to see if I could get a little bit more information on that. What would be the difference? Are we resubmitting? We're gonna resubmit anyway. What would be the options for us?
so there would really be no way that you would be able to continue without presenting something before the ARPB again, because it's going to be a significant modification.
Agree.
So really, the next time we would hear this would be in September, since we're off in August. As far as, fees and things like that, we can deal with that administratively if there's not a significant amount of staff time involved, since we're familiar with the site already. And we'll certainly work with you. But as far as timing, I mean, the earliest it would be heard would be September.
So either way, we would have to reapply, correct?
So if you wanted to go ahead and have a motion, this is a level 3, so it goes before the town commission. They can, go ahead and make their recommendation, and you can let us know, but we're going to continue to process it.
I believe the difference is if they deny it, then they have to go back to square one with all the fees. If they withdraw it, we don't charge the fees.
Okay, well, there you
I
go.
believe that's the difference.
That,
Quote me on it, but I believe that is.
that's very clear.
Can someone put our town clerk under oath, please? So, well, I mean, I think that it's going to be a completely different project. And now, I mean, I don't want to speak for the board, obviously, but it seems like the consensus is there's no modification that is going to make them feel comfortable making a recommendation of approval, right? So I don't want to waste your time, and I would think that they would, if you're going to make significant changes, then it should probably come before the ARPB again. So either way, as far as a timing standpoint, I think
either way, we'll have to come back to architectural review.
Whichever way your client wishes to move forward after your discussions, the feedback that you're going to provide from this meeting, it would have to come back to us, because this is a major,
no matter what,
major project. Well, with that, so for the record, it's officially withdrawn this application. Thanks, Carlos.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Thank you. And with that, we move on to items by staff, which you probably covered the first part. Right.
Yes, I like to grandstand and get on my soapbox to kill time when needed.
Yeah.
As an attorney, I do love the sound of my own voice, so guilty as charged. But as far as anything else, no additional items. Thank
There
you.
was that other item about, sorry, there was something about you wanted to give us information regarding level 1, 2, and 3.
Right. So we do want to do that review, and Renee has been working diligently on it. But time is so elusive. We haven't been able to really dive in the way we needed to. So hopefully, with a month off, we'll earmark the 4th Thursday at 8:30 to have a staff meeting to go over that.
Great. Can you make that on public, on definitely on record? Okay. Anything from the board? No. And the public as is? Thank you. And with that, I'd like to adjourn this meeting and wish everybody an enjoyable August. Hopefully. Thanks, everyone. Did you even, oh yeah, you go. Yeah.